Welcome to the sixth and final video in our ORB onboarding video series. In this video, I'll show you the daily routine that I like to follow, and you can use this as a starting point to optimize the platform to work for you. By this point, you should have a good foundational knowledge, a good understanding of ORB, the setup, and the key terms. You should know how to use the live scanner to find the best setups and the difference between the two different strategies, the breakout and the pullback strategy. After that, we discussed how to use the backtester and reporting functionality to build conviction in every single trade. And we funneled all of that into our previous video where we put this together into a workspace, something that works in our brokerage platform to go from the ORB platform to actually placing trades. Now in this video, I want to give you a routine that I like to follow, and this is a systematic routine that you can employ every single morning to find the best ORB trades. Now I start the morning by analyzing overnight activity along with any of the events that are scheduled for the day. The website I like to use is forexfactory.com. It's a free resource. If you take a look at the news section down here, focus on the red folder events, and that will give you an idea of the news that's moved the markets overnight. You can also take a look at the red folder events on the calendar for the day, and that gives you an idea of the catalyst that you should expect. I focus on USD for the red folders. In these two examples, you'll notice this is the Australian dollar, so nothing that would impact the ORB setup for today that I would want to be aware of. The next thing I like to do is take a look at overnight activity. If there's been any news, any tweets in our current environment, the overnight activity is the next place where you can find clues of things that you may want to be aware of. Now, once the opening bell rings, the market bias, I think, offers you the greatest clues in how this market is progressing. Here's today's example. If we use just the S&P 100 as our watch list of stocks, let's take a look at the 5-minute breakout first. The market bias today on the 5-minute scale, very much to the bullish side. So we can see morning starts off with the bulls in control. Next up, we have the 15-minute breakout. Same watch list, you'll see now we have 70 trades, bulls still maintaining control. So first 5 and first 15 minutes in the S&P 100, bulls very much are in control. However, once you get to the 30-minute mark, take a look at what happens. Now you see that the bears flip. There's a lot more bearish breakouts than bullish breakouts, 54 to 31. That's telling you that now the bulls have lost strength and the bears are in control, at least as the markets progress to the first 30 minutes. So for the first 15 minutes, the first 5, first 15, we saw the bulls were in control. And once you layered in that final 15 between the 9:45 to 10 a.m. Pacific mark, you can see how the bears slowly started to take over. So this now gives me clues of the bullish strength that I can look for in the day. The first 5:15 had a lot more strength, but the 30 not so much. We saw that reverse, and in fact, you might be looking at more bearish trades than bullish trades because that's how the trend has now switched. Now, for the actual daily routine, I'm a huge proponent of keeping it simple, stupid. And it's not really stupid, but it's the idea of following a very simple schedule. And here's the one I like to follow. Nothing complex, nothing advanced about it. The morning starts off, the first 5 minutes, I do nothing. I'm just waiting for the market to settle in, trying to gauge whether or not today is a trend day, a choppy day. After the first 5 minutes have printed in, I'm now looking at the 5-minute breakouts as they start to roll in on the live scanner. Make a note of what that 5-minute market bias is. You see how the clues there, just observing, really goes a long way in knowing how that trend is shifting from the first 5, 15, and 30 minutes as the market progresses. From 9:36 to 9:45 a.m. Eastern, before the 15-minute range is printed, I'm focused on just the 5-minute breakouts. A lot of these breakouts move quick, so you need to pay attention. The pullbacks offer you better setup opportunities there to still take advantage of this trend. After the 15-minute range has finished printing at the 9:45 a.m. mark, then we now have both the 5 and the 15-minute setups available to us to trade. Also, make a note of the 15-minute market bias. And this is all the more effective if you have a smaller watch list of stocks. I like to use the S&P 100. Some of you have particular watch lists you like to trade. Now, the first 30 minutes after that 30-minute range is finished printing, make a note of what that 30-minute bias is. And now you have the 5, 15, and 30-minute setups available at your disposal. Take a look to see if the bias is giving you any clues. Today, we saw the 30-minute bias flip short, and that was the bias that we wanted to look at for the actual setups. So we want to see how this bias is changing as the time frame progresses. Now from 10:30 to really 11:45, this is 15 minutes before the East Coast lunchtime hour at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm trading all of the setups, looking for confluences with the edge signals and the momentum cross indicator. My personal preference is to look at setups in which we have a 1-to-1, 1-to-2, and a 2-to-2 in terms of our risk to reward setups. I skip the 2-to-1s for the most part. From 11:46 to 12:45, this is the lunchtime hour, I'm doing nothing. I'm just sitting on my hands waiting for the lunchtime to end. I use this time to research, go get some coffee, things of that nature. Just take a break. Also, make a note of any open setups if you do find a need to stay in front of the screens. And here, I like to focus on the pullbacks. These are clues of some of the risk one to make two setups that you can really just use this lunchtime hour to do some homework in while the market is taking a breather. Now, 15 minutes before that lunchtime ends is when I'm looking to resume any momentum-based entries, and these take me all the way up until the 15-minute mark before the markets are closing. Same idea as before the lunchtime hour, we're layering on our indicators and trying to find the skewed risk to reward setups. Finally, we are taken to the last 15-minute mark where we can manage any existing positions, exit the open trades that you might still have open that have yet to hit either their T1 or their stop. So a very simple schedule. A lot of it should have made sense. We start the morning by letting the 5, the 15, and the 30-minute ranges print. And as these print, we're making a note of the market bias. We want to see if this bias is staying consistent over those three ranges or if this bias is shifting as we progress. And it's really if it's shifting, then that influences a change in bias that you can use to direct the rest of the day. If these three line up, then you have a very clear bias, which gives you a much smoother way to trade the rest of the day. No question marks, no second guessing required. So here's my routine. You can use it as a starting point to customize for yourself as well. If you have a full-time job, you might not be able to really make a note of this 15-minute bias, so you can perform this exercise even after the fact. If you were to come into our live scanner, simply load in your watch list, load in whatever the time frame is. So say you wanted to look at just a 5-minute, and take a look to see what does the bias tell you. So you can come in at any point, see what the bias was, see how the bias shifted by the time you got to the 30-minute mark, and use that to then pick and choose the setups regardless of what time you're looking at the live scanner. Remember, this live scanner is the core of the platform where I think you'll spend the most time, and it's important that you start to let the live scanner work for you. Use this first week to observe the scanner, see how these setups form, see how this market bias shifts over time, and maybe even create some of your custom watch lists so you can observe not just the S&P 100, but maybe even your own list of stocks that you might be looking to trade. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to send us an email at contact@orbsetups.com, and one of us will be happy to help point you in the right direction or even record a custom video to help walk through any questions you may have. Welcome to the Opening Range Breakout Setups platform. Good luck trading, and I'm happy and excited to see how this platform can transform your trading and help you become a more systematic, probabilistic trader. Take care, and welcome to the platform.